Leader of the Opposition and a Member of Parliament for MONZE Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for according me this opportunity to debate the appointment of Mr. Mvunga as Governor of the Bank of Zambia. Mr. Speaker, the Bank of Zambia is one of the most important institutions in this country. The monetary policies of the Bank of Zambia affect everyone in the country. It therefore follows that whoever is appointed to lead this particular organization should be a person who is acceptable and qualified to lead the Bank of Zambia, in particular during the financial crisis we are facing. As I debate this particular motion, Mr. Speaker, allow me to quote from the Constitution of the PF, and I'll be able to address the relevance of the issue to the appointment. I would like to quote, Mr. Speaker, Article 3. Yes. Vote.
Honorable Mwiimbu, just take a seat. Honorable members, we are dealing with a very serious issue here. We shouldn't trivialize it with those running commentaries. We are trivializing an earnest matter. He's free to do what he wants to do. The manifesto is a public document. It's in the public domain. I don't want to belabor this point. Continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I indicated, I'm going to quote verbatim the provision of Article 3 of the Constitution of the PF. And it says, the party, Article 3, the party shall ensure that all the public institutions, state-owned enterprises, and popular mass and similar organizations are led by persons who are members of the party. That is one. That is one major qualification for you to ascend to save the people of Zambia. You must be a party cadre, according to the PF Constitution. It therefore follows, Mr. Speaker, in my understanding, that the first criteria the PF had to consider was that this particular individual we are considering today must be a party cadre, and a cadre who should be uncompromisingly following the views of the PF. Mr. Speaker, this is one very important institution that should be apolitical, where we should only consider professionalism as paramount. But the PF, in their own constitution, have told the nation that everyone in this country who holds a very senior position in state enterprises, public institutions, are supposed to be party cadres. The Bank of Zambia, Mr. Speaker, according to them, should be held by a person, the governorship should be held by a person who is a cadre. This is according to their constitution, unless they are refusing. And it is my considered view, Mr. Speaker, that whenever the government is considering appointments, they should not be dwelling their appointments based on what they believe in as PF. That is why most of the institutions in this country, Mr. Speaker, are failing because of this clause which the PF are using. Point of order. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Mwiimbu, just give me a minute. There will be no points of order. Just wait for your turn to debate. That's all. Continue.
Mr. Speaker, I'm expressing a concern as a member of the public and leader of the opposition that when we are appointing people to save this country, we should always look at professionalism and the diligence to save, not party affiliation. And that is why I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, that the institutions in this country are failing because of this particular clause of the PF. I have no doubt in my mind, Mr. Speaker, if there was any other person who is qualified to serve with all the requisite qualifications, if he's not PF, he will not be appointed, according to you, unless you are disowning your own constitution. The UPND constitution does not talk about that.
Just give me a moment. Honorable Ngulube, you are a deputy chief whip, government chief whip, in the forefront violating the rules. In the forefront, leading. Continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also want to take note of the statement the Minister of Finance made on the floor of this House when he was delivering his budget. He did mention that actually the country is in a crisis. The economy needs to be resuscitated. And last week, the Minister of Finance, Mr. Speaker, issued a letter of intent to defer the payments of the Euro bonds and other debts that are accruing to the country. The international lenders, Mr. Speaker, are looking to what is going to happen today. They are going to look at who is being appointed as Bank of Zambia governor, because this particular individual will be part of the delegation that will be led by the Minister of Finance when negotiating. But when they read that this particular individual is being appointed permanently because he's a cadre of the PF, they will have no confidence, Mr. Speaker, in our delegation, and will be doing a disservice to this country. Why should we be doing such things, Mr. Speaker? Why should we be doing such things? Mr. Speaker, it is my considered view that this person and this individual does not qualify to be appointed. The mover of the motion was saying when he opened by stating that this particular individual must be a person of very high integrity. That's what he said. I'm not going to talk about his persona, which is in public domain. What are you telling the nation over the issue of integrity according to your own report? Mr. Speaker, these are issues that do not just affect this country. They affect the international community. We have lenders who are concerned over this issue. Maybe that is why even yesterday the club of lenders are saying they are not going to agree to the request by Zambia. It's because of such things we are doing as a nation. Why should we be doing a disservice? I am not questioning the authority to appoint, but I'm saying whenever we make an appointment, Mr. Speaker, we must be considerate. We must bear in mind the views of other people and the international community. This particular individual, Mr. Speaker, immediately the nomination was made, there was a lot of debate. There were a lot of issues that were raised. Even members of the international community raised issues. Mr. Speaker, the Bank of Zambia is a very critical institution. You must take note, honorable colleagues, that today the dollar vis-a-vis the kwacha is 20.50. If we make a mistake, by next week, the kwacha would have melted and the economy would have been affected. I'm a resident, I'm a citizen. Whatever decision you are going to make today will affect me, will affect everybody. We must always, when we make decisions, we must make decisions taking into account the people of Zambia. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I thank you and I don't support this particular report.